Hello everybody out there, this is Seto Kaiba from your Yu-Gi-Oh chat channel, and today I'm going to start a new segment about strategy in Yu-Gi-Oh. Now I'm going to talk about strategy, different ways, different takes on that. It's just based on the card game itself, things I've learned dueling throughout the years about my opponents and people in general, things like that. That's what this new segment's going to be about. So first today we're going to talk about people's reaction. Things like if when they're pretty much got a good hand is when they're like, oh, come over here, stuff like that, basic stuff like that. We're going to start out with, and then we may go into more complex theories that I've had and proven for the most part. But today's strategy is about poker faces, facial expressions, posture in a duel, and how much important that can be if you're playing in a very important duel. And I'll give you some stories too. So, I have learned in life and as well playing card games, if you've ever played poker, blackjack, Texas Hold'em, anything like that, even capitalism, stuff like that, any card game out there that involves money and having a straight face, you need to take that to Yu-Gi-Oh! Any card game can use that, even Uno. Why? A lot of times you can tell what your opponent's going to do just by the way they are acting, the way they're doing things. Now, granted, they could be bluffing, but I've seen the best Yu-Gi-Oh players out there, the best that I've seen and I've had the privilege to meet, they have straight up poker faces. Most of them, that is. Most of them do. When you duel them in a serious duel that means something, they're just like this. Oh, you don't hold? Meh, whatever. Okay. Yeah, I'll do this. And they just go about doing their thing. They're in their own little zone. And there is such a thing as the Yu-Gi-Oh zone, when you're pretty much just in the zone. You're just paying attention to the game. You're focused on it. You're watching the field. You're thinking, okay, probability of him having this or he just placed that down is this. It's kind of like watching A Beautiful Mind, if you've ever seen that. It's like you have all these numbers in your head. It's kind of funny. But I've had that happen before where I'm just like, probably that. I'm like, okay, we'll go for this. Do that. But back to poker faces. It's so important in the game to have a poker face because you don't want to give your opponent, your hand away. If you got a broken hand, keep it to yourself. If somebody comes over and watches and they get big eyes, I've seen guys and they're like, you got a good hand, didn't you? I was like, yeah, he gave me away, I guess. They're like, yeah, he did. Because I'll have people come behind me like, oh my gosh, look at that hand. People do it all the time. You can't prevent that. But you can prevent yourself from doing it. Have your cards kind of curled at the end. Don't let other people see them. Concentrate. Don't try to get distracted. Focus. If it's an important game. Now, if it's just a leisure game, you can use practice with using these techniques, but out the window. That's just leisure. But if you're in a tournament, regionals, locals, anything, because that is really true. If you have a poker face and you're able to play through the opponent, you don't show the opponent, you can even bluff the opponent. And I've seen that. I've seen somebody completely change the game around because they bluffed with an MST. I've even bluffed with my hand before. I was playing an Ophion deck recently, and I was at my locals, and the guy, I was playing my Herald deck, the agent deck that I profiled a couple weeks ago, and he had learned from the match before that Orange of Light, if you search with Ophion, can destroy Ophion, and he was like, I was like, yeah, I got 4 cards in hand, 4 cards in hand. What's the probability that one is an Orange of Light, that if you make Ophion and search for it, I'll destroy it? He's like, ugh. And the thing is, I didn't have the same Orange and Light in hand at all. I did not have it. I had 2 MSTs, a Valhalla, and an Archlord Christia. and I drew into a Dark Hole Destroyer's Ophion because he had nothing in the field, but it was the middle of the game. But you can bluff your opponent so well if you just concentrate on the game. You'd be like, what's the probability you think I got this in my hand if I got 4 cards in hand? Make them think. It's kind of like Remember the Name. it's not all about just the deck. It's also about strategy, bluffing. There's so many other things that go into Yu-Gi-Oh! And that is what separates the intermediate to the advanced, I really think. It's not just the deck. It's beyond deck building. It's strategizing. It's bluffing. It's faking your opponent out. It's things like that. Making them think. Think on their feet. If you're thinking on your feet, you got a problem. Now, not all the time this is true, but this is just some little hints and tips. And you can give me some hints and tips too if you want to, other things you've learned. But bluffing your opponent is so easy because I've seen people bluff so many times. They'll just throw MST down, and it's an MST. It's not a good card. They're just like, ugh. The posture just goes down like this. They're like, ugh. Or when they get a good card, they raise up in their seat a little bit. Watch body language. Watch their facial expressions. Watch their eyes. I know it's hard to explain, but you'll understand if you pay attention in one of your next couple of duels you duel, wherever you duel. Just watch these things. You'll start to catch up on them. Old school players out there, you know what I'm talking about. Probably if you've been dueling for a long time, you'll know these things. Or if you just play card games in general, any type of card game, poker or whatever. But you'll notice these things, and I have too. For about 5-6 years, after like 2-3 years in the game, I started noticing these things, and I started using them to my advantage. But that's just some tips on poker faces and posture. Because if you want to kind of stand up straight, have your cards, be like a robot type thing. Don't. If you got a good card, you can say it in your head. I'm going to destroy you. Don't be like, I can be like, you're going to pay for it. You can mumble to yourself, but whatever. Believe me, it's important. It's very important because if you don't, I'll read you like a book, and it's very easy. A lot of Yu-Gi-Oh players I know out there, they're pretty good at other card games. Not just Magic, not just Pokemon. I'm talking real card games. Even though we can consider Yu-Gi-Oh a real card game, but you know what I mean. So till next time, everybody, Seto Kaiba, out.